it's Jen from Fabulous Paper Emporium. I'm here today on this glorious day to show you a fantastic card. It's a pop-up card. And to me, that name is just so, I mean, pop-up, I guess. It's kind of like fun and whatever, but anyways, part of it is probably because I'm using this wonderful Alice in Wonderland paper from Graphic 45 that I absolutely love. I am just in love with this paper. So this is the 8x8 the 8x8 paper pack that I am using today. The card that I made obviously uses like the pink hues, and the card that I will be making is using some of the blue paper. So I'm just going to leaf through this really quickly with you. Obviously I've got to turn it to its side, but here we go. So just amazing. I actually have an album that I am using the 12x12 on. I'm not quite done yet, but believe me, you know, I'll post it as soon as I'm done that. A lot of opportunity if you want to fussy cut around the flowers for a lot of extra interest. But here, I don't want to go page by page. There's a lot of beautiful florals with, of course, double-sided. You've got another, like a plaid on the other side. Time for tea with, of course, teacups and teapots and things like that. So a lot of the peachy kind of tones with the like a Wedgwood blue. And we've got this one is nice. We got 3 pages of each. So I'm not going to show you 3 pages because I've obviously started cutting it apart. But yeah, lots of beautiful paper in that pack. And if you didn't notice, the front and the back also have just kind of templates, I guess, for gift tags. And at the back, there's like a little pillow something or other. I can't remember what it's called. Pillow box. Gift tags also on the side here. So makes use of the entire thing. So anyways, getting back to the card for today. So this is a pop-up card. So as you can imagine, there's going to be a mechanism of some sort that is going to have the card pop out. So I did it this way. You can also do it this way, but I just feel like it's more natural for the recipient to be holding it this way. So that's why I wanted to do it in this direction as a landscape direction as opposed to portrait. So you hold the card and you pull this, and ta-da! So, yeah, I've just used 3 of the design papers from that, plus one of the cut-aparts. So this is the card we are making today. So I'm going to push this off to the side, and I will bring in some of the cardstock that we are using. We're using this lovely ivory, because I feel like this really lends itself to, instead of like a crisp white, and I certainly didn't want to use black, I have gone into the ivories for this. So feel very happy about the fact that I'm not doing black. So to go through some of our card pieces, we're going to go through all the base pieces first, as well as the mechanism. And we'll be doing some scoring later, but I'm just going to go through the sizes right now. So to start off with, we have our base piece, and this is cut at 5 1/4 by 9 3/4. We have our insert piece, and this is cut at 3 3/4 by 7 1/2. We have one panel, and this is for the sentiment on the inside. So this one is cut at 2 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then this little guy is the mechanism. Sweet, eh? It's 2 1/2 by 2 1/2, and we'll be scoring this one. And then for our designer paper, so the front is a 4x4 piece. And then for the bottom piece, I'm just gonna, well, obviously I'll be doing it this way. So guess side piece. So this part is the You're Invited for Tea. So that's that piece, obviously. This piece down below is going to be this one. just so that you have an idea. So we have 4x4, and then I did 3 pieces that are the same with the roses. And so these 3, I've got 2 pieces that are cut at 2 3/4 by 3.5. This one is cut at 1 1/4 by 4. So I was kind of getting ahead of myself there. Sorry, my brain is a little bit all over the place today. So this piece, the 2 pieces that I have, I've got one for the outside, and then as you flip it open, I've got one as a base layer for this one as well. You don't have to put it on both sides, but I think on the tutorial that I had seen, this was empty and the sentiment was on this part. I just wanted to let the paper sing and speak for itself. So I wanted to put it there. And plus I really like it on, like, having the sentiment that pops out. Anyways, and then the last piece that we have is another piece of designer paper. So depending on which way you are going to be, like, presenting the card, if it's going to be in portrait, then this piece is going to be cut at, this way. So it's going to be cut 3.5 by 4 1/4. But obviously the way that I'm using it today, it's in landscape. So we're doing 4 1/4 by 3.5. And then I cut out one of the little cut aparts, and that's just going to be front decoration. So it doesn't necessarily matter, I guess, what the size is, but it's about 2 3/8 by, they're really in 16ths. So it doesn't really matter. If you want to put something on the outside, you cut it to whatever size you want. If you have a stamp that you want to use, a picture, like whether it's a sentiment or an image, then that's fine. That's part of the beautiful part of crafting, is you can do whatever it is that you want to do. So, okay, so I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to put this off to the side, and then we're going to get to making. So the 3 pieces that we're going to be scoring today, you're going to take your large piece, the 5 1/4 by 9 3/4. We're going to take the piece that's 3 3/4 by 7.5. And the mechanism that's 2.5 by 2.5. So those 3 pieces we need right now, because we'll be scoring. So get out your scoreboard, your score tool, whatever you are using to score. So with the 9 3/4 across the top, we are going to score this at 4 1/4, just like so. Then we are going to rotate it around. And so this time with the 5 1/4 at the top, we are going to score it at a 1/2 inch on both sides. So we are just going to find the 1/2 inch mark on this side, which is my least favorite because kind of have to do that crossover kind of thing. Okay. And then on this side, we are going to be scoring at 4 3/4. So now we have our 2 1/2 inch on either end. If you wanted to, instead of doing the measurement, you could always flip it around and score on the other side. But so we've got 3 score marks on that. The next we're going to take is 3 3/4 by 7.5. So with the 7.5 across the top, we are going to score this at 3 inches. And then we are going to take our little 2.5 by 2.5 square, and we are going to score this at 3/8. And we are going to score this at 2 1/8. Okay, so same score lines on either side. So they're basically both 3/8 of an inch on either side. Okay, so that is it for the scoreboard for right now. So we're going to take our base piece. So you'll notice that we didn't score this in half. So I've got on this side is where the smaller of the two pieces. My score line is right here. So I've got a larger or longer side and a shorter side. So on the long side is where we're going to cut away these two panels on the side. So my scissors are there. Okay, so we're cutting apart. I'm just trying to get the angle right so I don't lose the score mark because it's decidedly difficult here. Okay, so you'll see this in just a second as soon as I get that. Okay, and then on this side. And then just as we're finishing off this, I like to miter the corners just on that side. We don't have to do it to this side. There is something else entirely that we'll be doing to that side. So this is what your base will now look like. Excuse me. 1 second. I'm just going to grab some water. Okay. So that is our base piece. That is all the cutting we need to do there. I am going to just fold this really quickly. And we're going to burnish that. Okay. All we need to do with our 3 3/4 by 7.5 is we're just going to fold that on the score line. And again, take our bone folder, burnish that, and then take our mechanism part and just burnish the sides here. So I'm going to start by setting some of these pieces aside because we want to start decorating it before we do the assembly, which is a little bit backwards, I think, from how we normally build cards. So I'm going to take out my 4x4 piece, and again, laying it in the landscape mode so that we are applying all these pieces correctly. We're going to be putting this piece in between the two score marks. So those are your score marks, are your guide for applying this. And I'm going to grab my liquid glue and apply this all the way around to the outside. I did edge or ink. I always want to say edge. I did ink all my edges for this one because it just is a very vintage feeling paper that I wanted to kind of accentuate that. And you'll notice if you have this or are interested, we do have the 8x8 and I have the 12x12. Yep, the 12x12 collection in stock right now. So on this, you'll notice that on some of the pages, I did notice it on one. Oh, here, even on this, that it's not solid. It has some darker spots, some lighter spots, the same thing with this paper. And there was another one, this one as well. There are some, changes in the texture. So around the outside, it's a little bit darker. So anyways, I just wanted to kind of emphasize that a little bit more. And that's why I inked my edges in the vintage photo. So that is that. Okay, so this is all that we're going to do with the base piece for right now. And the second thing that we are going to be decorating is our little 3 3/4 by 7.5, the one that we scored. So this is the insert piece. So we have two pieces that are going to fit really nicely on here. So I'm going to apply my roses to the front and the back of that panel. And we're just making sure that we've got a nice border. Of course, it's hard to see. There we go. Oh, I'm not liking where that's lying. It's a nice thing about liquid glue is it's really forgiving. If you don't like it, you can just pick it up. Whereas the other score tape has its uses for sure. And you could even put the glue on the score tape, and that'll gives you a little bit of, you know, wiggle room if you so need it. All right, so I've got my pieces there. And then the last piece that I'm going to put on is this one, which is the piece that is 3.5 by 4.25, and that will fit nicely here. So if you were doing it in the same, you know, in landscape as I am, I'll put everything in the description below as per normal. It'll all be there. So I'll put a couple of notes in terms of the direction and how to cut it. I always, when I'm giving the measurements, it's always the width by length, unless I say otherwise. Excuse me. Felt like a frog in my throat this evening. So this is basically how it's going to fit in. So you are going to see a little bit of this piece. So you do want the pages to coordinate. But if you're using one of our collection packs, whether it's Graphic 45 or any of the other ones, chances are if you're using all the same paper collection, it's all going to match anyway. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so that's basically how it's going to be. And obviously these flaps fold over. So now is where we get into the mechanism part. So first, what we're going to do with this mechanism is we're going to almost like you would be curling a ribbon almost. I just take my bone folder and I pull up on the paper. You just want to kind of break those fibers and get it to go in the direction that you want it to go. So we have our two little flaps on either end. And it's going to be kind of like a half moon a little bit on that side. So we're going to put the top flap. I'm going to grab my score tape right now. And I do strongly recommend doing the score tape route for this, or whatever dry adhesive that you have. Just because with the liquid, it's just not, it just is, it needs to be really, really strong. And the score tape is super duper strong. So we're going to peel that back. And what we are going to do is we are wanting to line this up. So the score tape, the edge of this panel, hopefully you can see that. So the edge of that is matching up with the fold at the top. And we're trying to get this as centered as humanly possible. Of course, if you wanted to grab your ruler, you can absolutely do that. And then once you have it down in place, just burnish that really well. I'm going to grab my bone folder. And this is what you end up with. Okay, so this is the mechanism that is going to allow it to slide and pop open. Oop, there was one thing that I forgot. It's not the end of the world if you don't do it beforehand, but if you do it beforehand, it certainly saves you the aggravation of having to do it later. So I forgot to ink this piece. So I'm just going to do that really quickly. As you can see, it's just really quick, kind of dipping the sponge in the ink pad and just kind of going around the edges, so it gives it a little bit of definition, and it adds, you know, it's like I think I've said this more than once, it's not a lot, but it's just enough to kind of add just a little je ne sais quoi to your project. Okay, and we're going to add that right in here. I haven't stamped on it because I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be using it for, so I would rather leave it blank for right now. Okay, so now that we have this, the mechanism is folded up, we have one more piece, the panel that's at the top, and we need to add a little bit more of our tape to the top. So once we do that, now is, as tricky as this card gets. Okay, so I'm just going to burnish that really quickly, peel it off, and this is where the alignment comes up. So we want to have our card, the center panel, the insert, is going to be lined up. You want to try to leave as much space at the top and at the bottom. So you want to kind of have that as centered as possible. And we're going to line up the fold for the mechanism. You want that to come right to the edge. So you see here, I can just see this peeking out, just like a fraction, not even a 16th. It's just a hair that I see peeking out. And so I know that I need to move that kind of up a little bit because it's really not centered. There we go. Again, if you wanted to take your ruler, you could always take your ruler. And there's going to be roughly, sorry, without getting my head in the way, probably about 3/8 of an inch, a quarter of an inch, sorry, somewhere around there. Anyways, so once you're happy with the positioning, you're just going to burnish this because you've got your tape face up and now it's all adhered. So this is what you're going to be ending up with. You've got your mechanism, which has already been, trained, for lack of a better word, to go in that direction. And then you've got your centerpiece. So we already see that this is coming together quite nicely. Now the next thing we are wanting to, I'm just wanting to make sure I don't fold this in a way that it's not supposed to be folded. There we go. Okay, so we're going to want to now put tape on either side. I'm going to move that. So again, I'm reaching for my score tape. And if you are ever wanting to try score tape, we have lots in stock. I've got a bunch of different widths available. Of course, I have just about everything up to, but not including 1 inch. I just found 1 inch to be pretty large, pretty wide, and for card making wasn't exactly going to be used a whole lot. Although for album making, I can see how that would be something you would need. So, perhaps one day. Okay. So now we're going to want to not only fold, I should have folded these beforehand, and I didn't. Now I got this other thing flapping all over the place. There we go. So we're going to fold these inwards and burnish them really well with our score tool or bone folder, whatever it is. And we are going to start peeling away the side that, the edge that is closest to the inside. That's what we're going to be peeling away. And this is not, for whatever reason, it is not liking. There we go. Oh, I had it. There we go. And we're just going to stop and we're going to fold that so it's facing outwards. And we're going to do the exact same thing with this one. Okay. So this is how it looks now. So as we fold this over, this insert is going to be tucked inside. So these flaps fold over the insert, and then we fold the entire thing over on itself. Now we don't want to have this so tight, because if it's super tight, that mechanism to pull out is not going to work. or it's going to be extremely difficult. So we just want to gently press that down. We don't want to push it from the inside out. We just want to put it down. It should all line up, so you shouldn't have to worry. And now with these tabs, we're just going to pull that and then just, again, make sure that it's tacked down. And we're doing the exact same thing with the other side. So we are most of the way done. But one thing I wanted to show you. I have a couple of samples here that I was kind of tooling around with. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it really well with those ones. But if I were to just leave the card like this, and obviously it pulls out, works really well. But as you go to push it back in, it's really difficult to get it to go back in because it's getting caught on these two pieces right here. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to pull this out a little bit. But where we just adhered each side, that's where it's getting hung up. And this is why we have this piece. So this piece just barely covers that and gives us a nice border all the way around the outside. But it will smooth that, it makes that smoother transition. So whether you are using liquid glue or tape, either way it will work. If you're using liquid, just be very careful with it. I decided to use liquid, of course. So you can kind of push inwards to get that to open up a little bit more for you. We line that up on each side, and then as you let that go, you can kind of play around with it a little bit because it's liquid glue. So then we're just going to let that go. And again, you can kind of fuss around with it a little bit because it's liquid. There we go. Okay. So that is done. And we're done. I mean, really, for how amazed people are going to be with this particular card, I feel like that didn't take us very long at all. And just to add a little bit of decoration, I am going to put my cut apart on the outside. And I have this insanely large roll. See? So my foam squares are, I still have foam squares, but I've started using this foam tape roll that I got on Amazon. And I just got it the other day. So I'm getting used to it. It's interesting using this big roll of tape. I've had to, right now it's balancing on my lap as I go and I cut. And I'm using kind of my junky scissors for the cutting. It is super sticky, which is great. But to go along with that, I feel like the red can be somewhat, the adhesive backing can be somewhat challenging to remove. And I've only found that today. I've used it a couple of times, and of course, only today when I'm making the project and have a plan for a video, does this not really want to work with me. So I'm just using like a pick tool and go in at the corner because I don't really care if some of the foam comes kind of flying out, but it's not terrible, really. I mean, as far as foam goes, I like the fact that it's not super, super thick. You can see that. It's really not thick foam. So for me, it's perfect. Some of the foam squares are almost twice as thick, and I'm not a huge fan. So I think I'm going to put this, I got to cover one of the Alice's. So now it's a matter of figuring out which one I want to cover. Well, I'm not going to cover a whole lot, but that's just going to be the one that I cover. There. And there you have it. So this is our pop-up card using the Graphic 45 Alice's Tea Party. So I'm just showing this to you again. Alice's Tea Party. It's super, super cute, and it is available right now if you are looking for any super cute paper. We've got that. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. That would be great. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, please. It really does help with my videos and having them show up when people are searching. And also, don't forget to hit subscribe. So we just hit, and I just posted a video about this earlier today. We did hit 100 subscribers, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And as promised, we have a giveaway once we hit 100. The problem is that there's a little bit of a hiccup in our plan, in the sense that subscribers, my list of subscribers, I only see about 29 names. And that doesn't even jive with the number of email notifications I've received. So there's something a little bit, strange going on there. But our solution is we will be doing a raffle through an app. So I will be posting that. I've got the video up on the left-hand side if you're interested. If so, then you've got about a week to get your name in, and good luck to everybody who has subscribed. I really, really appreciate it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this card. Again, big old thumbs up for a like, and don't forget to hit subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Stay safe. Stay well. Bye.